If friends could begin to take our seats. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. About right here. Is that okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, testing. Oh, yeah.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. If friends could begin to take our seats, we'll go ahead and try to begin on time or close to it. Good morning, friends. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Roger Holt. I'm your new presiding clerk for FCNC. And I want to welcome you to Concord Friends Meeting this morning. Great to see each and every one of you. Appreciate you taking time to be here this morning to join in the work of this organization. We have a little bit of work to do this morning as we get started. We need to approve the minutes from Rep Body Meeting, October the 1st, 2022. They've been on our website. They've been published. You don't have them in your folder this morning. Is everybody familiar with those? I know I read them a while back and thought they were accurate.
Check.
Does anybody have any comment? Mariana has a hard copy that she can read if you think it's necessary. Any thought on that? Do what? Okay. Okay. If friends agree, could we get approval for the Rep Body Meeting minutes for October the 1st, 2022? They are approved. Thank you very much. Okay. I'd like to open with prayer this morning as we move into the rest of our program. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we give thanks for the opportunity to be here, to be part of this body, to be part of your work, to be part of spreading your gospel. We ask that you bless us this morning as we come together, as we reason together, as we consider the things that are before us. Give us wisdom, help us make good decisions. And then as we go into the workshop, be with our leader, be with each one that participates, open our eyes and open our minds and help us see new things, new possibilities in your work. In Jesus' name, amen. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to Terry Linthicum and let him come up and talk about the externship program through FCNC.
Good morning. I may not need this. I coached high school for 34 years. I may not need this thing, but if I get too loud, you'll let me know, I'm sure, won't you? If I slur my words this morning, I'm going to take just a few minutes. I apologize. I had a 1-year-old and 3-year-old spend the night with us last night, and I got kicked to the other bedroom, didn't sleep that well, so. But they're running around the house this morning. I don't know how in the world they do it. They go to bed late, they laugh and cut up, and then they go to bed late and they get up early. I don't get it, but whatever it is, it's good. But I appreciate you guys letting me come this morning and share with you this morning. I want to tell you one thing before I get started. Like I said, I coached high school for 34 years, and I went to I'm not a Carolina fan, sorry, but I'm a big Duke fan, but I respected Dean Smith and what he did. So I went to one of his clinics one time, and the question was asked during the question time and answer time. They said, Coach Smith said, what makes you happy? Where's your good place in coaching? And I thought this is one of the best answers I've ever heard in my life. And he said, whenever we practice and plan all things we do, when I can go to a game and sit on the bench and do nothing because they already know what to do. And I thought that's a really good answer, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. That's kind of our goal, is to get to the point where people are doing things in a place of us, and we can sit back and say, oh, yeah. And I think that's starting to happen a little bit. You know, the first few months I was kind of, I'm like, oh, I don't know, Lord, what's going to happen here? And I've been praying a lot about it, and we've been getting some response lately, which is really great. So I want you to know we're in a good place right now, and things are growing. They're growing slower than I want, but everything grows slower than I want most of the time. But we're growing, so I appreciate you guys. I want to give you a couple things real quick this morning, let you understand kind of where we're at. One of the things that we decided to do is that our internship program booklet was a little bit bigger or larger than probably we should have for this generation of people. Now, for us, it would be simple. We'd fill out 100 pages to do what we wanted to do back in the day, but they're not going to do that these days. They're just not that kind of generation. I always call them the drive-through generation because that's what they are. They're a click away from everything. So what we did was we take the internship program and externship program, I'll explain that in a second what that means, and we made it much easier to navigate. And what's going to happen now is the fact that once we get them to actually sign up and become interested, it has a fact page, it has an application page. It's very simple. They can fill this out, and once we got them, then we can get them into the other stuff. So this is what you're going to start seeing. I'm going to give one of these to Paul today, and we'll start putting that online, and we'll start working with that so that we can capture them, and then we can get a hold of them and do some of the other things, go a little bit further. The second thing is we decided that internship programs are difficult during this day and time. So we decided to look at externship programs. Internship programs are designated times, and you work so many hours, and you need to be there, and you have to be there, and you get paid a certain amount for every hour, and that kind of thing. And it's very stern, basically. So what happens is we have a lot of young people out there, I noticed, and I have some in my church that did externships last summer. And what happens is, hey, I'm a lifeguard, Terry, but I still want to be in ministry in some way. Can I do this? And I said, sure. So we worked around their schedule, and we kind of came to an agreement as to what times he could be there and what times he couldn't be there. That's called externship. Now, externship programs could be paid or not paid. We paid hours. So what happens is you kind of work with the person to work around the other job or around school or whatever is going on, and you kind of work out hours with them personally. So if somebody came to your meeting and decided they want to be in the externship program, you can say, what hours can you serve? It may be Sunday morning for 3 or 4 hours. It may be after school for a couple of hours with a minister. It could be a lot of different things. It takes on a lot of different shapes and forms, which I think is a good thing. So we're kind of gearing ourselves toward the externship part of it instead of the internship. Now, if somebody still wants the internship, we'll gladly do that. That's not a problem. But I'm saying the other seems to be more, basically, people love it more, or the young people like it more. It's something they think they can use and do. The other thing is, I'm working on something, and I don't want to speak before it happens, but I will give you a hint on satellite sites. I've talked to some of the youth ministers, one in particular right now. I haven't got in touch with all of them, and they're willing to take on responsibility of somebody may not want to drive all the way to Marlboro, but they may want to come to their church and do the internship workshop. So instead of them driving a long distance, we're trying to make this where it looks really good, and it's almost impossible to say no. That's what we're trying to do. So we're working on that kind of situation right now. As a matter of fact, I talked to Jared yesterday, and he's willing to do that. And he's going to do that for a young lady at his church, which I think is fantastic. She didn't want to drive all the way to Marlboro, but she's willing to drive a few miles to her church, which I think is great. So we're working on that satellite kind of thing where we can do that in different places. The next thing is that we're providing workshops each month. We had our first one last month. We had 2 people come, 2 young men came who were very interested in doing stuff over the summer. And we sat together for 2 hours and we talked about ministry, the heart of a minister. We talked about what an extern is and what an intern is. And then we did basically a spiritual self-assessment. What are you gifted at? So we do all those things in a couple of hours and get them really involved in it. And then we pray over them. So that's kind of what those workshops are. We're supposed to have another one today, but we didn't have anybody sign up. I've got 3 people waiting, but none of them could come today, so this one won't be happening today. But we're going to have another one next month. The next thing is I want to understand that we had some of you may not even know, we had some last summer. Both of them are at Marlboro Friends. They didn't want to go anywhere else. I understand that, and I'm not going to slap them around with a Bible and tell them they got to go somewhere. So we accepted them into our meeting. Let me tell you some things that they did. One of them was a leader on our mission trip. He took care of a lot of things that like getting the food ready in the morning and leading people and making sure everybody's where they're supposed to be, and he took a leadership role. He also did Bible school for us. We had all the games. He took care of all the games, everything. He planned himself a lock-in, the devotions. He spoke. He did everything at the lock-in. So those are kinds of things that he did for us. And the other young man was basically younger, so he kind of helped him, and they worked together on all these things, planning everything and working together. We have one more who's interested at Marlboro Friends right now that wants to be involved in what Paul does, which is the media part of it. And he's going to start pretty soon working on Sundays, going up in front of everybody, or going up before the church and setting up the mics and all this kind of thing and making sure everything's good up in the booth. He's going to start working on that, which is fantastic. And we have some others. I know Jared has someone that's very interested in ministry. And I hope I don't speak, but I have really got a really big, I think I've got one that I think will be a future children's minister, and I hope so much. I think she has the heart for it, but I can't speak for her yet. She's still praying. But things look good. The only problem that we're having that I see, because I get text messages from you and I get different things from you, and I understand your concern, but the biggest problem we're having is people want to serve inside their own church, which I know is not really what we want. We want them to spread out. But hopefully, like I said, if we capture them and we give them that backing that they need and that pat on the back that they need, that they'll venture out. So I hope you're with me and I hope you're praying for us. We need a lot of prayers. God moves in a lot of ways. My wife and I prayed for something for several years, and yesterday it came to fruition. Praise God. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll tell you it's personal, but I'll tell you what, God is good. Amen? Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. That's exciting. That's wonderful. We have a little bit of business to approve here. Representatives to triennial sessions in Kenya this summer. I want to put these out for your approval this morning. Our representatives. Etta Florence Winslow has volunteered to serve on nominating committee. Brent McKinney on new business. Brenda McKinney to write the epistle and the messages. Other representatives, Ginger Holt, Roger Holt, Rita Mittmeyer, Aaron Mittmeyer. Would you approve these friends to represent us at triennial sessions? Thank you. Okay. I'm going to call Brenda to come up and talk about our cemetery policy. We have responsibility for a good number of cemeteries that no longer have churches, no longer have meetings to take care of them, and we're having to deal with that.
I had a question earlier about just what is my role. So to clarify that, I am the assistant presiding clerk for 1 year. So that means I'm clerk of AOC, and Erin Mittmeyer is our assistant programming clerk, and at the end of the year, she will become the assistant presiding clerk. But this is sort of a mentoring of Erin as we get ready for the next year. At our annual sessions, Don Farlow gave an excellent presentation, a little summary with pictures and details of each of these cemeteries and the problem of our maintaining these cemeteries, the liability issues and legal issues. NCYM Inc. has asked us, FCNC, and the other fellowship friends to give our recommendation for how we should handle this. So this is the policy that was developed. We had formed a subcommittee. David Briles was the chair, who devised this policy, and it was approved by the Administrative Oversight Committee, and so we're bringing it to you today for your approval. It is supposed to be presented or given to NCYM Inc. by June 30th. So I think the most important aspects are, if you would scroll up just a little bit, in the fourth little paragraph, this should be handled on a case-by-case basis. We can't say, this is what we should do, and that's the end of it. It needs to be a case-by-case basis. There may be some that are overgrown now. I mean, if they have any markers, you can't really see the markers that well. It may be that we just need to let nature take its course. There are some that are in much better condition, and it may be that there is a cemetery, a family cemetery, and the family may wish to continue providing care, or there may be a funeral home that's interested in having this space to bury people who don't have any other place to go. So we are recommending that it needs to be studied on a case-by-case basis, and that we do, the last paragraph, we do wish to honor those interred in marked graves to the fullest extent possible, yet free ourselves of any financial obligation. Are there any questions about this policy? Okay, I guess we need to ask for approval.
Then would friends approve of this policy and submitting this as our cemetery policy to NCYM Inc.? Okay, thank you. All right.
The next item on the agenda is actually, I am your FUM representative on the board along with Etta Florence Winslow. And this project was presented to us in October, and at that time there were some questions raised, and we weren't exactly sure if this was a great thing to do or not. But later on, Lloyd Stanglin, who is chair, he was the Quaker Men International president. He's a corn farmer in Iowa. He has much farming experience. He's been to Kenya multiple times. His wife, Charlotte, helped write the peace curriculum. She's Mary Glenn Hadley's niece. And so, to me, this came about through God's plan. And we're just seeing how things are evolving. This 1,000-acre farm owned by the Ambwari family had been leased to people that raised sugarcane. And the farm manager probably didn't do as good a job as he should have, and the Ambwari family approached the Africa Ministries officer and said, we would like for the Quakers, we would like for Friends United Meeting to lease this farm. And so lots of trips have been made to the farm, lots of expert opinions have been gathered. A committee has been formed in Kenya of Kenyans and North Americans. There is a farmer who is a second or third generation family from England who's been very successful farming. He's looked at the property. They've done all sorts of analysis on the soil. At first, we had a contract with Kenya Seed Company to actually produce seed corn or seed maize. But now the seed company says, instead of planting seed corn, we need to plant corn to feed the people. There's been drought for 3 years. There's no grain coming from Ukraine anymore, and people are starving. So this project not only is sustainable, but it's going to feed hungry people. Now let me back up just a little bit. Why does FUM have a sustainability committee? Donations from North America have been decreasing. And so we needed to find ways to support our missions in other ways besides people just giving money. And so there are several projects that FUM is working on, but this is the one that's the best right now. Since I wrote this little handout about the Ambwari farm, they have hired a farm manager. He has 18 years' experience as an agronomist working for a seed company. He teaches at a university, and he's working on his PhD in agriculture. Everyone is very impressed with him and believe that he will do a very good job. There was one question asked of me about, well, what about the drought? I mean, how are we going to be able to plant corn when there's a drought? First of all, the neighboring farm, that the guy is an expert, been there for 2 or 3 generations farming, he has let us borrow a lot of his equipment. He is using a chisel plow, which plows about 1 foot deep to sort of turn up the earth, more suitable for raising corn rather than sugarcane. Yesterday in Kenya, they started planting. It rained. And the weather forecast is for heavy rains to begin the end of March. I say God is in this because a lot of people have been praying that rain did come and that we could do this and that it would be a successful project. So the rain has started. Yesterday they planted 600 acres, 60 acres, and they're planning to, there's 828 acres all total, and they're hoping that they'll get all the planting done by the end of March when the heavy rains come. So I think this, we wanted to present this to you, not for our yearly meeting support. We did give them a donation of $2,000 from our undesignated funds. I have the information about loaning money. They're expecting a 6% return. If you loan money for this project, they're expecting over a 5-year period to pay out to pay out at 6% interest. The loans have to be at least $5,000 because of the paperwork. So I'm presenting this to you mainly as an individual, if this is something you feel strongly about, feeding hungry people in Africa, or for your monthly meeting. You may have some money in CD that's not drawing very much interest at all, and you might want to make a loan as well. So I have the information if you're interested in the loans, and I will put the information in our newsletter next month, who to contact, and if you want to talk to Lloyd directly, he'll be happy to answer any questions. But I do believe it's a great project, and I'm very proud that FUM has this sustainability committee so that our projects can continue funding, that it's not relying on us solely. Right now, Turkana and Samburu are $36,000 in the red. And where's that money going to come from to continue that mission? So it's something that we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, as I looked at this, I was the one that called her and said, what about the rain? Because I knew they were in a historic drought over there. But as she said, God is in this, and sounds like the rain is coming. Mike Wall has made the comment to me that many of our meetings have plenty of money. They don't have a lot of people, but they have plenty of money. And right now, that money's not doing very much. It's in CDs and drawing little or no interest. But this might be something we'd want to look at to support, to loan them the funds, and over a period of time actually reap a higher return on the money that we have. Be a good use. I'd like to call Brent McKinney up to talk about Jamaica a little bit.
Thank you, Roger. We will be going to Jamaica this year to provide Vacation Bible School. We will return to a full program. We have never abandoned or left Jamaica during this COVID epidemic, but we've scaled back, but we have provided materials, and our camp counselors that we have met with and trained from time to time, they have carried the program on. Last year I went down to see if people would send their children out to Vacation Bible School. Jamaicans are very protective of their youth, and they were very receptive. I went to 8 meetings and conducted two days of Vacation Bible School at each one. They are very excited and looking forward to us coming back this year. The dates will be the last 2 weeks of July, beginning on July 17th. Haven't bought any airline tickets yet, so please let me know. But we'll be traveling on the 17th or possibly the 18th. We'll be there for 8 or 10 days. That depends on how many people we have going and how many meetings that we can cover at one time. If we have a couple of teams, maybe even 3 teams, and we could go to a meeting in the morning, we could go to one in the afternoon, and after a period, 4 or 5 days, then we move on and cover other meetings there as well. The cost will remain the same for everyone. It's $1,200. That covers our cost of travel, our cost of for food for ourselves. It's always been the same, so nothing is changing there. I have some firm commitments on 4 people right now have said, I want to go. Need that many more. So if you or if you know of someone in your meeting that might be interested in traveling to Jamaica with us this summer to provide Vacation Bible School, just let me know. As soon as we know the people that will be going, we will need to have some sit-down face-to-face meetings and talking about our curriculum, talking about our crafts, reviewing the music that we'll provide, organizing the games that we'll provide also. So when we go in to provide Vacation Bible School, it's usually about 4 hours at a meeting, and then hopefully we'll move on to another meeting, and it'll be an active and very successful time. The people in Jamaica, in talking to them over the past year, they really want us to come to the individual meetings. You know, we went to Swift Purcell Boys Homes, which is an 85-acre farm, and which they have cafeteria, they have dormitories, other outdoor facilities, and we conducted a camp there, kind of patterned after our Quaker Lake camp. We called it Quaker Life Camp. We had great attendance while we were there, but we can actually include more students, more children, if we go to the individual meetings. So they would like for us to return back to that model of presenting Vacation Bible School. One other change that we will be looking into, is that if you go back to the previous years, we would go and stay with families in individual communities there at the individual meetings. This time we'll do a combination. We're going to need to rent some homes, stay with some people who will invite us into their homes. So we'll need to work out the logistics on doing that. Travel from home, go to a meeting in the morning, go to one in the afternoon, while others may be staying with someone and providing Vacation Bible School there at that home. So we've got to work out some of the logistics to make it all happen. But remember, it's the last 2 weeks of July. We need as many people as we can get. If we could have 10 people going, that would be absolutely wonderful. So we could supplement the Jamaicans with our team members also, and make have a diversified group when we go and make our presentation. It seems to work much better that way. Not just us coming in and teaching them, but they would also help us carry out these activities as well. Let me know. If you're interested, or if you know of someone, just get in touch, give me a name, give me a contact, and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
We've got a little addition to our agenda. Scott Carter asked for a little bit of time to talk about missions this morning. So Scott, if you want to.
got a great missions committee. We're doing a lot of work. About 5 or 6 years ago, we had to make some drastic cuts to missions programs. But over the past couple of years, we're slowly building that back up. So it's great having funds to work with. In your packet there's a page for a bulletin insert for Mission Sunday. We've done it the past few years. What we're asking is for each meeting to pick a Sunday. A lot of them are going to pick April 30th, it's kind of a target. But whenever it's suitable for your meeting, pick a Sunday and kind of talk up missions, take up an extra offering or whatever you'd like to do to get some missions money flowing in. That's our biggest fundraiser. That we have a silent auction at yearly meeting. But look at that and try to get support your meeting for missions. And 3 of us just went to Matamoros back in January. That was a great trip. It's my first time down there, but it was great seeing the work that's being done there by the people in Matamoros, and also other meetings coming to Matamoros to help. The local meetings, which is 8 hours away, that's local to them. It's really fascinating to see the work done. God's doing a lot of work in Matamoros and these other places that we're helping out. But please consider giving to Missions Committee. Thank you. Did y'all hear David? The address is incorrect. It's sent to the P.O. box. I'm planning to send this out to the meetings and get it on the website. So it should be more accessible than just here today.
Send me a copy. I'll put it up. And if you need the new address, it is in the very bottom of our website. I put up the new P.O. box there once Judith let me know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Scott. I had myself on the agenda to talk a little bit about Odre Nuevo, our Hispanic meeting that is meeting in the old Harmony Grove meeting house there in Yadkin County. They are continuing. They're up and down a little bit in their attendance, but they're working hard at it, and they've begun or getting ready to begin a process to become a preparatory meeting. At the next Yadkin Valley quarterly meeting, there'll be a committee approved to work with them in that regard. Is that correct, Judy? Okay. And so things are moving forward. We're still, I think, in the hunt for them to become a preparatory meeting, then to become a full-fledged meeting and a part of FCNC. I'd ask you to pray for that work and pray for the ones that work with them in that regard. There is a book going around for us to make our presence known. Be sure you get your name on it, and so that we'll know that you were here representing your meeting. Mike Fulp has some information for us on pulpit supply. That might come up.
Good morning, friends. It's good to see each and every one of you. In your packet, there should be a sheet, and the front of it looks like this: time to share. This is something that we've had in effect for a few years now. I don't remember exactly the year it started. But on the front, it identifies retired pastors, then it goes into talking about lay speakers, and the recommendation for lay speakers would be through the ministering councils of their meetings, and there is a few questions there that needs to be answered. On the back of that sheet is the recorded pastors that have shared their names to be under the pulpit supply. And then underneath that, there's laypersons, and then Jimmy Spaulding's down there, and he says he'll talk about finances, but he doesn't want to share a message or anything. I do have a recommendation that's been sent by Cane Creek Friends Meeting, And Cane Creek's Ministering Council recommends the name of John Teague to add to the layperson's list, Pulpit Supply. John Teague has been speaking once a month for Cane Creek worship services. He brings meaningful and inspiring words to the congregation. John's personal story is a miraculous one he would like to share with others outside of the meeting. Nelda Stevens, Clerk Ministering Council, approved on February the 8th, 2023. I know this is not Ministering Council in session, but there is more Ministering Council in this room right now than we usually have in Ministering Council in session. And I think there's no one could say that I'm not right. So my question is to you, do you have questions about this recommendation? Anyone else? Hearing none, would you approve the name of John Teague to be added to Pulpit Supply for FCNC churches? Do I have your approval? Thank you very much. Now, pencil or ink in John Teague under layperson. His last name is Teague. Phone number 336-264-8541. Now, I will send this out, but it won't be today. But you'll have it, and more people will have it than just the few. I usually send pastors, clerks, and ministering council clerks. Those are the three people you need to go to if you don't feel like you're getting information. Ask them why they're not sharing it. Because everything that comes through ministry council is sent to that three. And if they don't get it, it's either because their email address is wrong that's been given to me, or it's going to their spam or something. So just, if you're not getting it, get back with me and we'll try to figure it out on ministering council. Harmony Grove. Yes.
My email is not correct, so it might be a good time to correct everybody. My email has an S on the person, P-A-R-S-O-N-S. And also,
At northstate.net.
yes, that's correct. And also, my name is Rusty Parsons. There's an S on the end there, too.
Okay. Anyone else? If there is, just let me know. Harmony Grove Friends, a couple years ago, maybe a little bit longer now, they just were, and maybe 3 years ago, felt defeated. They didn't have anything but a small group. They felt like that they just couldn't carry on anymore. They went through a separation. They went through a lot of funerals. They'd just been downhill, 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 downhill. So they decided that they would not meet. But they did not lay the meeting down formally. There was never a letter or anything that said that they were laying it down. So last year there was a little bit of talk amongst some of the members that had been there, and they kind of reached out to Jake Penley, Clerk of Revitalization, and some others, and there was some interest about trying to rekindle Harmony Grove. At one time, a large meeting, folks, 200 was not unseen to go in Harmony Grove. So if you think that you're sitting there and riding right now, you better step up. Because, I mean, a large meeting. I remember going there to all kinds of youth banquets and fellowships, and when I was growing up, it was a strong meeting. And that's what happened. Okay, let me go on to the good stuff. Last October the 30th, there was their standard date for homecoming. So we had a homecoming event, a service, no meal. There was 38 people showed up. Very, very good, very great number, I thought. From that, the high number we've had any Sunday was in the 20s, 22. Most Sundays runs around 12 that come each Sunday. 8 of them were not attending church. The others were, and a little bit here and there, but not regularly anyways. So there's around a dozen core, strong core right there right now, maybe 14, 12 to 14. We sent out letters last Friday to existing members that were physical enough to come back and be a part of that meeting. Sent a letter with a stamp inside of it asking if they felt like that they wanted to be a part of that going on. Have not received anything back at this time that I know about, but we asked them to let us know by April the 1st. April the 1st, there's going to be an outreach to the community after that and try to do something to bring folks back in. They're going to do something that is festive, but also go out and try to hand out stuff to people that's not attending a church anywhere. We do not want to proselytize somebody that is going to a church. We just want to reach out and give the gospel to people that's not attending the church. So to share all that with you, I'm just trying to tell you there is a core group there. It is going pretty good. It was somewhat modeled behind Thomasville Friends. Thomasville Friends went through almost the same thing. And revitalization went down there. Revitalization put some money into Thomasville Friends, getting speakers in. Then there was a grant. Now they've got a pastor. Now they're meeting on Sundays. The very same thing is kind of happening to Harmony Grove. Revitalization had speakers till the end of the year. Now there's speakers still coming each Sunday. Jake Penley is the one that schedules all that and is trying to grow that back. To me, all this is very encouraging. We've got 2 meetings here that could have been gone, but there's worship going on. And it's sharing a building with another group that needed a place to come in and worship. You know, I think there's all kinds of potential here across our yearly meeting to grow. And I'll throw this into it. Last annual sessions, we had not one person that would step up and do what I'm doing, what David's doing, what Roger's doing, or assistant recording clerk. Not one person did we call across this yearly meeting that said, don't take me off the list, but I just don't have time to do it. Folks, we were in desperate need, and we are in desperate need, and Minister Council was smart enough to see that we need leadership development. We need to come together like this group's coming here today. Now listen, this is a 2-part thing. It's just like watching a movie. You can see all the thrilling stuff that happens up front, but if you don't come to the next one, you're not going to see the little ending. What are you going to do when you go back to your meeting to encourage young adults to be a part of that ministry that goes on? And that's what's happened. We've lost people to lead. I wasn't going to preach, but here I've done it. It's just a bright spot. We can do this in all of our meetings. There is a lot of you got a little something going on right now. I know Deep Creek got 3 for 23 this year. Is it 3 for 23, Randy? There's other things going on. We can do it. Stephen's come today, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment, but if you got a question about Harmony Grove or something else, see me afterwards, and I'll be glad to share with you. Thank you for approving Pulpit Supply, and if anyone wants to, Minister Council wants to add more, let us know. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Mike. We have one more item of business. We need to approve a FWCC representative from FCNC. Brent McKinney has been our FWCC representative in times past, and we'd like to bring the name of Lindsay Shore Wright forward to replace Brent as our FWCC representative. Do you want to tell them who she is? Or? Okay.
Well, I should say, Rossi and David Hudson and myself will continue as FWCC reps. We're just adding Lindsay in place of.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we have we have 3 in place, and we're adding Lindsay to replace Brent. Would friends approve? Great, thank you. Are there other matters from the floor? Anything else that needs to be brought before this body? Anything to claim our attention? If not, let's take a recess until 10 o'clock. Get you some. Okay, great.